The Zone Coverage Podcast Network.
The Andy Luke and Reef Football Machine.
Autobots, transform! I like this kind of party!
Great cash, homie.
Starts now.
Welcome back to Thunderdome for another Zone Coverage Football Machine, Zone Coverage Podcast Network. I'm your not so humble host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine, and I have equity. More equity than Leslie Frazier going back and looking at that tape. He's
It's a lot of equity.
Yeah,
that is a lot of equity.
Does he feel vindicated? Wait, do we know if he was calling plays?
No, he wasn't calling plays. So I don't know how vindicated he can feel. But he was a big part of the game plan design, apparently. So
Yeah.
He probably feels bad. He's such a nice guy. He probably feels bad.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, a bunch of people actually went after the game. A bunch of beat reporters went into the Buffalo locker room to talk to him.
Yeah.
I mean, he left a good impression on Twin Cities media. They liked him a lot.
That's a opposite of chilling. It's weird how they work together. Yeah. Joining me, as always, is Arif Hassan, NFL. Hola.
Hey,
It's weird that you're sitting on this side of the table.
yeah, I don't like it, but I was late, so that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Luke Inman, Luke _spin. Man, Luke is going on.
What's up, Andy? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
It's good to see you in your normal place.
Yeah.
Also, Yinka at Sex Prince. What's going on?
Yeah, man. Good to be here.
Do you ever, when you play jazz, do you ever read off of sheet music?
Rarely.
It's not a thing.
Well, I mean, you will when you first start off playing jazz and stuff. Obviously, you have the chord progressions and stuff, but then
Yep.
you start to realize what patterns and stuff are, so you need to learn how to play off of that. And then at the end of the day, it's just like you just play what you want. That's why I love jazz.
Just play what you want, man. It's like a jam band,
Yeah.
but with a sax.
Exactly. It's sexy. And sexy.
Yeah. Also sexy is Tom not producing.
That's yeah, people like that. That's been brought up on two. No, Cy Amundsen. Every time he produces, Eric produces.
Yeah. Also, we got new producer Eric who does not have a mic, so just give the people a head nod.
New guy.
All
Big
right,
impact.
yeah. They all saw that.
Listen, hour one, we recapped that
feel
Buffalo mess, talked about the Everson Griffin situation, as well as looked forward to the Rams. We're going to open up the phone lines and also take your Twitter questions as well. And become a subscriber. ZoneCoverage.com. $2.99 a month gets you unlimited access to all of the goodness that is behind the wall. Crossover. Is there a wall in Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
there's a wall.
There's a wall.
All right, yeah. Topical Game of Thrones reference that I have no reference for.
Should get
but whatever.
into it, man.
Yeah.
If Arif was caught up, he would know that that's the case.
What, they mentioned the wall in the first season.
I'm just saying there's something very specific about the wall.
He asked if there was a wall.
I'm saying if you were caught up to where it was at, you would understand.
You got to get caught up.
Yeah, you got to get caught
To
up.
know more about.
No.
Yes,
Just in
you got to get
general,
caught up.
You
You just got to get caught up.
I don't really care.
You do.
Who cares?
All right. Let's start
He
off
said
with,
he wasn't mad. That means he's Superman.
Got him.
now, is that a spousal thing or is that a Minnesota thing? I'm not mad.
The wall?
What? No, it's an online thing. No, the wall is
The
definitely
Donald
not
Trump thing.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm not mad is an online thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You got to be online.
As soon as you say you're not mad, that means you're mad.
But everyone is mad online, so it's kind of.
Right, yeah, exactly. See? There you
I
go.
see what's happening. Start off with a Twitter question. At StarkWolf82, what's the stats versus the Rams cornerback situation? Can the Vikings offense hang with the Rams given the injuries on the Rams defense?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because of those injuries, I think you can.
Also, where the heck is Jerry from White Bear Lake?
Jerry's on hiatus somewhere. I don't know where Jerry is. Should I hit him up?
Margaritas and senoritas. That's what's going on with Jerry.
Oh yeah.
In Jerry's world. Next up is Mike Dory. When I make blank, I always add blank to make it taste better. Food question. Or I hope it's a food question.
Chicken and paprika.
I was going to use paprika on my eggs.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, obviously it depends on the preparation of chicken, but most of them are improved with the addition of paprika.
It's
I
paprika.
approve.
Say paprika one more time.
Paprika.
Paprika.
What do you check?
No.
Paprika.
No,
You're good.
Paprika.
Hungarian.
Come, I have serving a paprika.
No, that's
before.
paprikash.
Paprikash.
Yeah, close enough. Something I've been really into lately is Tabasco makes a Chipotle version. That's really good.
Dude, that is so good.
Yeah.
I like all the Tabasco sauces except for the original, which is like take it or leave it. I'd rather have Cholula.
Yeah. Yeah. Or also like their green sauce.
So
Really
good.
too.
Green
Yeah.
sauce good.
Yeah. Yeah. Step your game
Underrated.
up, Tabasco. All right. So we're going to put up the phone lines, but Joe, what's is it weird that football's back in LA? Kind of is.
Yeah, I guess it's been back in LA for a little bit. I don't know. I think it's weirder for people in LA.
Yeah.
They're like, we have one team, right?
I think
Yeah.
it's- I think
We have
it's
one team and they
exactly.
also play in the college season. Caller, who we got?
Howdy, guys. What's going on?
Hey,
Hoodward?
hey,
What is going
Hoodie. I accidentally rejected a trade request. Can you resend that?
No.
Dang.
No.
All right, well, I'm screwed for the season then. Cool.
I don't even know what you sent. So, yeah, sure. I sent James a really good trade, but he refused it. So, like, one of my players for 6 of his, but whatever. I mean, if you guys don't want to take that.
Was it a bad trade? Are you in a rough trade there, Don?
No,
He
actually.
keeps
I'm in
trading
really
like
good
Jameis
shape.
Winston for like 3 Hall of Famers. It's pretty great.
Yeah, did you like that? Did you like that trade Reese, when I with Slavy, where I started giving Jameis Winston, I asked for all draft picks for next year and all of his quarterbacks. I'm shocked. Shocked he did not take that.
In a
I
league
told
that
him-
won't be there next year because someone will forget to renew.
Hey, not just that. I told him to get free crab legs out of it, too, just because of that. But
Yeah, because you got
whatever.
Jameis.
Well, that adds up,
The
though.
perks, yeah. That adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd have to think that only with the Vikings win tomorrow night. Well, 3 things. One, I'll be really curious to see if they have a, besides the fact they should have a chip on their shoulders for being embarrassed at home, but 2, you got to think they might be fighting a little bit harder because for Everson, I feel that they might have like want to do a little bit extra. Obviously, they got to keep the Rams' offense off the field. That's the number one priority. They just after that, which means that the offense somehow has to take advantage of both cornerbacks being out. But they couldn't even do that against the Bills. So, I mean, that's basically what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to keep that Rams offense somehow off the field. And if they do, I think they have a pretty good chance of winning the game, to be honest. I really do. I don't know what's going on with our defense. It's a sieve.
They're fine.
It hasn't. I'm real curious. Maybe it's time for Zimmer to give up the play calling for defense.
Come on, playa.
I'm actually, so I don't think that the defense has been too poor. Obviously, they're put in a really difficult situation in Buffalo, but if you take a look, Green Bay, I thought they tightened up. They only allowed 12 points in the second half against apparently still good Aaron Rodgers.
Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look as good. He still looked really good, but he didn't
He's
look
on
as good
one
last
foot,
week.
So
I know there's an excuse, but I'm saying if we're evaluating the defense, we have to figure out kind of what level of play Aaron Rodgers is at. And, he looks all right.
Not against Washington. That leg was rough.
Well, that's what I mean. Is that like last week?
Excuses were for Kirk Cousins. That's what I want to know. Like, why isn't Reef making excuses for Kirk Cousins? What's up with this?
What? Cousins played poorly, man. I don't know. He's a work in progress.
What? And the defense doesn't
better
play
be careful, bro.
poorly either. Yeah, I think they're kind of a work in progress too, though, Reef.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is there's a certain level of expectation we have of the defense, and they're definitely playing below that level of expectation. But I think over the past 3 weeks, they've played like an above-average defense that have been put in bad situations by the offense and the special teams. They should be an elite defense. They're not playing like that. So that's kind of where I'm coming at it from. So if your bar is they should be the number 1 or number 2 defense in the league, they're not playing like that. I agree with you. But I do think that they're playing like a top 7 defense that have been put in bad situations. Cousins is not playing like an $84 million whatever, so I'm coming at it from the expectation that he's supposed to be like a top 7 quarterback, and he's not playing like one. So that's kind of, the criticisms are coming from different points of where they should be, and so yeah, like that's kind of why it sounds like that. Cousins has played poorly. He should play better. The defense has played poorly. They should play better. But I don't think the defense is playing as badly as people say, whereas I think Cousins is playing as badly as people say. Does that make sense?
No. Anyway, The Vikings defense plays on grass again tomorrow, and I know I brought this up, and you don't believe it, but I do. I think that defense plays worse on grass.
They also play worse
teams.
away. Like, that's just a normal thing.
When they smoke grass, they're not as good.
I bet the opposite. I bet they play even
We need to
better.
get Holton Hill back on stuff.
Right, yeah.
So let's see, though. No, honestly, though, let's look at that. Starting last year, Redskins, they won the game, but the defense gave up a lot of points. Panthers.
A lot of turnovers in that game.
Panthers game?
Don't have a response for you. They played poorly in that game.
Mm-hmm. Eagles?
Yeah, they played against the best offense in the league. I mean, Nick Foles, but still.
Nick Foles, dude.
Wait, is this like
Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles? That Foles?
And then against the Packers, which they give us some too. So I would just like to see them show some dominance on a grass field here.
Well, they're going up against, again, a number one offense. I mean, not number one, right? It's like the Chiefs, right? But they're going up against a high-level offense, too. So, and on a short week, teams traveling to the West Coast over 2 time zones on short weeks, on average, lose by 10 points. It's enormous. So, I don't think this grass thing... I think the problem with the grass thing is it might be true, but I think there's too many confounding factors every single time. Because the away teams that they play in domes are like friggin' like the Lions, right? And I mean, even then they struggled against the Lions. They always, seem to struggle against the Bears, but they did really well when they played away against the Bears this week, or not this week, last year in Week 17.
That was against Trubinsky, though.
Well, yeah, but it was like
all of a sudden there's caveats.
Yeah, right. So now you get to adjust the level of expectation for how poor the other quarterback is, but now we can't say
Mr. I can't pass to the left side.
Yeah, he can't pass to the left. That's the problem. But I'm just saying, like. So when they play well on grass, it doesn't count because the quarterback's bad. But when they play against a good quarterback on grass, it doesn't count.
I'm not saying that. I would just like to see some consistency on the defense.
It's almost like it's tough to play on the road.
Yeah, defenses play poor on the road. That's it. Like if you compared how much points the average offense they play against does on at home when they play away, those at-home offenses, how well they do on average, and then compare those numbers to turf versus grass, maybe. But that ends up being like a really small sample because there's like 2 away games where they play on turf, right? So, yeah,
how do you think they would play on asphalt?
Pretty poorly. I mean,
more poorly than you play, or what?
No, it's probably impossible.
Wow.
Yeah, I played really poorly. Yeah.
I know I'm bashing Reef too much. I'm sorry, Reef. This isn't bash on a Reef. Now,
You're just lashing out. I understand.
He
Don,
gets us enough from his Twitter.
Donald,
feed.
don't ask. You should rebrand as a Reef Hassan's hoodie.
Or beard. I would rather go beard.
No, except that has different connotations there, Don.
Oh, that does.
By the way, I do expect the Vikings to win tomorrow night.
You do?
Hater. Good.
Is this because you don't believe in Goff? Is it because you believe they'll step up because of Griffin?
I think they'll win 24-13. I do.
All right. What's the fundamental basis for that belief?
I honestly,
football is stupid.
I think it's pride and ego. I think it's going to be. I think the biggest thing is that after what happened to them, it's going to remind me like after the whooping they got out of Seattle against Seattle 2 years ago, and then they went to Arizona where nobody thinks they had a chance. They had 3 starters out, and they made a game of it. And I think they got a lot of pride. I really do. And to be honest, man, can they really go Can they really win the division at 1-3-1? It'd be tough. Yep.
Yes,
it'd be real tough.
Because the division stinks.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I wonder what the odds of no NFC North team reaching double-digit wins. I would definitely bet on that.
Oh, I don't. I think one of them is going to win. I think one team's going to win 10. By the way, real quick, guys, has anybody ever won a Super Bowl with a tie during the regular season? I don't think so.
Probably the Browns of like 1942.
This year's Browns, baby.
They didn't have the Super Bowl back then.
Whatever.
He specifically asked about the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That restricts it to like the...
I don't think so. I don't think so. I had to think about that too. Through all the years, I don't think there's been a Super Bowl winner.
The Vikings never won a Super Bowl either. It's going to be a year of a lot of firsts.
They're due.
No, I think they're
it's
due
overdue.
next year.
Actually,
I'm sorry. It's even years. Zimmer teams, even years, there's something about them. It just, I don't know what it is.
Well, now you've been listening to the numerology podcast.
Probably, but if you look at it this year, odd number years. So they won the division in 15, right? They won the division in 17, second seed, and they went into the NFC Championship. So in theory, in 2019, they should win it all. The trajectory of it all, they'll probably win the Super Bowl next
But if you
year.
think about the Vikings in terms of cycles, they've already peaked, and they got to wait 9 more years before they make a championship game again.
No. Because you got to think of it this way. You can't say that because the Randy Moss 98 and 2000 they made the NFC Championship, so you can't really say that. So that real cycle isn't really there per se. I think they still got one more in them.
All right. Only one? They paid Kirk Cousins so much money. Only one more?
I don't know why you're yelling.
Well,
Am I
they
yelling?
got to get Sloter in there once he starts.
Right,
Figure
true.
Starting by next
I'm
year.
ready for
That's a
that.
good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, see, I mean, come on, man, really.
All right.
Guys, I hope you have a fantastic night.
See you, Don.
See you, man.
All right.
All right. We got another caller? Negative Ghost Rider?
Yeah, somewhere.
Filling in the
Somewhere?
time. Talking
He's somewhere in the-
about
in the
things,
computer
stuff.
somewhere.
It's in
No, the files
in
are
the-
it's in the computer. The files are
Yeah.
in the
Hey.
computer.
I don't know where.
I miss Tom.
Wow.
I miss Tom.
Calling the reliever.
How
dude.
far are you falling, Eric, if that is your real name?
Say check spy.
What's your guys' overall feelings on Thursday games?
Get rid of them?
They should probably just go away.
I like that they're there. But
Well,
caller,
it breaks up the reek.
yeah, caller, who we got?
That's true.
Makes it difficult for me.
Hey,
right?
fellas, you got Ben from New York.
Ben from New
How we
York.
doing?
What's going on, man? What's on your mind?
Hey, look, I need someone to talk me off the ledge right now. I'll tell you what, Riley Reid absolutely cooked. It's the same foot injury he had last year. I'm absolutely convinced. And so I guess, I don't know. I just wanted to call in. Do you guys have any silver linings on the season, honestly, going in tomorrow's game? And don't say something like the Rams corners are injured. You know, I need a team-centric type thing.
Well, they got to be able to get this running game going. We haven't seen anything from Dalvin Cook yet. Maybe a couple passes in the San Francisco game. But, dude, 6 rushes for 14 yards. Wait till Dalvin gets at least his fair shot and at least a bulk of carries and touches. And I'm fully expecting Zimmer went over to DiFilippo and goes, dude, are you kidding me? 6 rushes for 14 yards? I know we've been down, 20-7 in the Packer game. We got down big right away in Buffalo. That's not going to happen again. I'm excited to see Dalvin Cook once he gets kind of incorporated like he should have been in these first 3 weeks in this offense. Reef?
I don't think the rushing output in the Buffalo game. No, I don't think that matters.
No, yeah.
Like
In the Bills game, you're saying?
in the Bills game specifically.
Correct.
Like I think that the
Oh,
run
you're-
game overall looks poor, and I think I'd like to see more of it. This isn't what the caller was asking for, man. He's asking you to be talked off the ledge.
did he
Can
jump,
this
dude?
team be good? And
gone?
I think this team could definitely be good, right? Because Zimmer's historically been a good coach. He generates winning teams. The defense tends to improve every year under him. Maybe it got a little bit bad off of this game, but we've seen the Vikings take it on the chin and then have a good season, right? I mean, remember the San Francisco game to open the week, to open the season a couple years ago?
Oh, yeah.
Hyde ran over him.
Yeah.
Finished, 11-5?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good team. You got a good coach. You got a better quarterback than you've had in a long time. The team will bounce back.
shade is real.
Would one say almost like 3 years? Almost?
What?
What?
Huh?
Do you say something?
Anyway. Yeah, so it's a good team, and I think that even though they've made a couple of mistakes, there's it seems like every year they've got a game where they just kind of like step into a pothole or something, and it looks pretty bad. But generally speaking, it's been a good team. They've got incredible depth along the defensive line. They're going to have to dip into it a little bit earlier than they expected to, but that's fine. So yeah, I think things will improve. Here's another thing to think about. I think everybody kind of just trusts Eric Kendricks. He hasn't had a good game yet.
He hasn't played well.
Right, yeah, he hasn't had a good game yet, and I think he will have good games.
It's
and I
coming.
think, yeah, and
You know he's not
I think
bad.
once it
It's
corrects for him, I think that the defense overall will tend to cohere.
You just
So-
think about how he can triple his money.
right, yeah.
Like, how do I make this 50-150?
Well, I think
10% every
Right.
year.
So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said about this team's ability to turn around, and most of the NFL still kind of believes in the Vikings. They're top 10 in every power rankings. It's just one game.
Yeah, and it's a good point that you bring up Eric Kendricks, because I think a lot of people are right now, they're kind of down on Anthony Barr. You look at the last game, had a bunch of penalties and stuff, some of which weren't completely his fault. But I think because him being that outside linebacker, a lot of his mistakes tend to stand out, whereas Eric Kendricks hasn't played very well, and he gets masked by, a lot of the ability of Linval Joseph and, even the mistakes of Anthony Barr. But he hasn't played well, but I do think that that's going to be a bright spot once he really starts to play like the Eric Kendricks we do know. I think as far as like our secondary, we have a lot of talent in the secondary, but I think that secondary can probably take it up a notch. I think Mike Hughes will continue to kind of step into his own. Mackenzie Alexander will continue to, I think, improve just being that nickel guy. So you have a lot of players on your defensive side of the ball that are going to improve. On offense of the ball, we still haven't seen that Dalvin Cook game that we know is coming really soon. Both him and Latavius Murray are fantastic 1-2 punch. Stephon Diggs hasn't, since really week one, he hasn't gone off the way that he should. But that's mostly because the teams are taking him away. But again, there's going to be a game here real soon, and this could be the game where he puts up 150 yards for 2 touchdowns. Having Adam Thielen on the opposite side, there's just another guy that you can continue to rely on if you do take away Stephon Diggs. So I think you have a lot to look forward to, and the offense is still a work in progress. So that cohesion is eventually going to get there.
Yeah, I'm hoping DeFilippo climbs the learning curve a little sooner rather than later as an offensive coordinator. Some of the play calls, I don't know if I necessarily agreed with. But, thanks for talking me off the ledge, fellas. Long time here, so I appreciate the work you guys do.
Yeah, call in next week for the same pep talk. All right, see you, bud.
See you, man.
See you guys.
Yep. Later.
All right, got another one? Lost another one to Ditech. Hey, caller, who we got?
Hello?
Hey,
this is Doug in Connecticut.
What's up, Doug? What's going on, man?
Not too much. Who we all got tonight?
Well, we got Luke, we have Arif, we got Saxy, we got Tom, we have new guy Eric. It's great.
New guy.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, I have a game for you guys tonight. It's called Jersey or Shurzy.
Okay.
I like it. I'm in.
Okay.
Copyright.
So, how does this game work?
So basically, based on your confidence in the player, you're going to tell me whether or not you're willing to invest in a full-blown, authentic jersey, or you're just going to put a down payment on a Shurzy.
Right. Okay. I like
the screen on that print on.
Wait, down payment. Who's financing a Shurzy?
I'll pay.
Yeah, exactly.
$1.50 card, man. Put it on the JC Penny card. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So right off the bat, Kirk Cousins.
I am currently in Shurzy mode for Cousins.
None.
What?
Wait, those are my options.
Shurzy.
I'm saying Shurzy. He's only on a 3-year deal. We're already halfway through the first year. Tom, what do you got?
Shurzy is a metaphor, man. It's not about actually buying.
Oh, got it.
Authentic.
No one actually buys jerseys, all right?
I know.
Except for everyone's
I'll
dad.
be right back.
I'll be right.
I got to run in my car.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom. Please.
Sorry, what is this? I'm not.
Jersey or Shurzy? Are you going to buy a $250 Kirk Cousins authentic jersey, or do you not have enough faith in him?
I think you got to get the jersey. He's $84 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
not all guaranteed. I think you got to go.
No, the Vikings have already bought the jersey. The question is whether or not you, as a fan, are confident enough in your investment.
Tom,
to get
he literally already explained this. Tom, you're out. Yanka?
Shurzy.
All right. We got next, Doug.
Trey Waynes.
Shurzy.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this game, Doug. It's just funner to say Shurzy than it is Jersey. But yeah, 1,000% Shurzy for Trey Waynes.
Shurzy.
Wow, they were all more confident in the Shurzy decision than me, which is weird, because I'm supposed to be the Trey Waynes hater. I guess I'm also Shurzy, but it took me longer to think about than that. The issue right now seems to be that he hasn't had a healthy game yet. But he's played kind of well when he's been on the field. The dropped interception, no one wants that. But I think the game would have been different if he had been able to stay in it.
Yep. Give us one more, Doug.
Okay, last one, Dalvin Cook.
Jersey.
Oh, Jersey all the way.
Easily.
Yeah,
Two of them. Give me two.
Tattoo on my chest.
No, ass cheek.
Yep.
You gave us an easy one. I think you just wanted to finish on a high note.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Doug, before I let you go, what's your stance on New Haven pizza?
That's a good
New Haven Pizza?
Yeah.
Where's that at? I've been out of Minnesota for a while now. Where's that at?
You're from Connecticut, Doug.
No, we're asking about Connecticut-style pizza.
Oh, I'm not from Connecticut. I'm from Minnesota.
But you eat pizza in Connecticut, I assume.
Yeah, but not in New Haven. I'm going to have to check it out. Is that a style?
Yeah, it is. You should check out the pizza show on YouTube that Vice puts on through their Munchies channel. They talk a lot about pizza, which is really cool. And
I will
New Haven
research
style.
this and get back.
Yeah.
All right. Doug, appreciate you. Thanks for calling in, man.
All right. Yep, have a good night. All right.
Vice, please pay us money.
I'm very disappointed, Doug. Like, I honestly can't explain. Hey, caller, who we got?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Wyatt.
Wyatt.
I always love the introduction. This is great.
What's up?
You could literally just call just for the introduction and hang up if you want to. It makes you feel better about yourself,
talk, right?
man. That's what we're here for. Yep.
Yeah. What's up besides your boner of Christian Kirk finally getting freed with Rosen in there?
Dude, Christian Kirk. I don't even want to talk about the Aggies right now. We got taken behind the shed by Bama.
It's Alabama and you're Texas A&M.
New, man.
Yeah, the Bear Bryant Bowl.
You look at the schedule.
Okay. I could have handled the Bama loss if the Vikings just went and pillaged the Bills, but
I get you.
Yeah.
So it's just been a bad week. And then Everson Griffin falls off the edge. What is going on? These are the strangest reports, guys. I mean, I'm reading this, and you don't want to say. I said it on Twitter, and I've already been crucified for it. But it's hard to not believe that there's not drug use in this. I mean, seeing things saying 777 going in the middle of the night, breaking into your buddy's house to do whatever. I mean, what do y'all think this is? You think it's from CTE or, what's y'all's perspective? I'm sure y'all talked about this.
I mean, the stuff that we know, the stuff that are like facts that have been reported and have not been redacted or retracted.
We don't know because we've been off Twitter for 10 seconds.
Right. The stuff that we do know, I think just point to signs of just mental illness. It doesn't have to be CTE related. And if you take a look at the incidence rates of mental illness across the general population, you would expect a lot of people to have various kinds of mental illnesses within the NFL population, and you would also expect, given kind of the culture that a lot of people grow up in, not just NFL players but a lot of us, that it doesn't tend to get treated all that well, that it can get worse, and it just seems like this is what it looks like for a person who has mental health problems, even when they don't have head trauma concerns from sports, even when they don't have concerns about drug usage or whatever. And I think right now, all the signs do just point to mental illness. So there's a ton of stuff people have been talking about on Twitter that are like unsubstantiated.
All the Twitter doctors are out.
Right.
CTE or cocaine or CTE cocaine.
Yeah, everything has to be one of those two things.
I'll go ahead and be an armchair doctor too. Why not? Everyone's doing it, right?
If everyone jumped off for Britain, no, fine.
I mean, if everyone's gone, I want to be gone too, Andy. Let's be real.
Wow.
You have everyone's stuff.
That wasn't a dark place we were supposed to go. I'm sorry. So anyways, I think a perspective that's worth noting is that PEDs do run rampant in the NFL. And though PEDs can't cause schizophrenia or cause, those kind of things, they do affect serotonin, they do affect your dopamine. And so if he was on PEDs, usually, schizophrenia, if that's what I think most people are coming to conclusion on with the mental health issue, it can be basically amped up a lot faster by using performance-enhancing drugs. And if you look at Everson Griffin, it wouldn't be hard to believe he's on performance-enhancing drugs that could also affect his, serotonin and his dopamine. So just something to think about. No one knows, obviously, and I'm not trying to say that is what it is. It's just perspective I don't think a lot of people, pay a lot of attention to. But, the cold hard facts are PEDs in the NFL, they run rampant. I mean, especially to play on certain levels, I think it's something a lot of people turn a blind eye to, which is fine. But it's something that kind of made sense to me. When I looked at the case, I was like, again, I'm not a medical professional. So, for anyone listening to this, please don't crucify me. But it's something to look into.
No, we're going to put this up on Twitter and you get roasted like Mark Craig. That's what you're going to get, Wyatt.
Woo! I know. It's already happened. I made one comment. I was like, it's just hard for me to believe there wasn't drugs involved. And it was basically shame on you. How dare
you got dunked on like Sean Bradley, man.
I have his autograph. I know better. Yeah, I know. He's a great guy. I understand. And, I guess the real question is, where do you think it goes from here? In the sense of, do you think it's a game? Do you think it's a year? Do you think we may not see Everson Griffin again? I mean, because if it is a mental health issue, he should take a substantial amount of time away from the game.
I think it's definitely an undetermined amount of time. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if it's 2 months. I wouldn't be shocked if it's the whole season. But I think what Everson can do is really turn this into a positive, become an advocate for whatever specific issue he does have going on. I mean, look at what Brandon Marshall has done for borderline personality disorder over the past bulk of a decade. So, again, football is a very secondary thing at this point, but also it is his profession. He does have the platform to be an advocate for whatever it is, but it's it's going to work itself out on its own time.
Yeah, I have no idea how long it's going to take, and I wouldn't say that he necessarily has an obligation to turn this into an advocacy. It's definitely an opportunity that he can take. That would be pretty awesome and interesting to see. But people kind of deal with all these things on their own time and kind of in their own ways. I would expect that he'd be gone for at least 2 months. Maybe he's not. Maybe he finds a way to incorporate playing football into a treatment plan that he's worked out with a professional. Kind of who knows, right? But yeah, I would, if I were a Vikings fan, I would expect to see him kind of just out for the year, and anything, other than that should be seen as kind of a blessing.
And I know this sounds bad talking about cap space, but I guess the silver lining to that would be is if that was the end of Everson Griffin's career, that would probably open up the cap space to be able to re-sign a Sheldon Richardson and Anthony Barr, or would we have dead cap? What do you think that would entail?
It depends on how the Vikings want to approach this, right? So if they NFI him and choose not to pay him his full salary, it's very easy from the Vikings' perspective, but it also feels kind of
cold.
Yeah, you kind of don't want to do that. But they aren't liable necessarily from a cap or a salary perspective for this specific problem. And I don't know if they choose to NFI him but also choose to give him kind of all the money he's owed, how that impacts the cap, because cap is just an accounting thing and not like an actual money paid out kind of thing, and maybe those two aren't related. But yeah, it might be the case. We could probably talk to Jason over the Cap, who probably knows more about this than I do. It might be the case that they could, designate him with a non-football injury, put him on IR, and then not take away any of the money that he's, had negotiated for him, but still not be accountable from a cap perspective. Like, all of that is possible.
Right, and that's, I guess, the question I was asking was, how much guaranteed money do we still owe him? Do any of you all know?
That's a long-term question. A lot of variables up there. It's not even worth thinking about at this moment.
Yeah, I figured as much too. I'm sure a lot goes into that equation.
Yeah.
Obviously it's a super sad thing, and it's a hit on season. As a Vikings fan, is it sad to say I've just come to expect it? Like, someone's going to have a mental breakdown, someone's going to blow their knee out, something crazy is going to happen.
Well, the formers knew.
To deter us from a Super Bowl. I don't know. And how much faith do we have in Stephen Weatherly and Tashawn Bauer? And will they play left end or right end? Do we move Hunter over to left or over to right. Sorry, and then you use Weatherly and Bauer at left end. Does that make sense to do? I mean,
both of them, 12 men. Screw it. Take the penalty.
Could you even see a Sheldon Richardson playing at end? Would that make any sense?
No.
And Tom Johnson playing at DT? No.
Probably not. Although Sheldon Richardson does have some experience there, kind of given the weirdness of everything that was happening in New York. But yeah, I think you're just more likely to see both Deshaun Bauer, Stephen Weatherly active, rotating in and out. I think you're much more likely to see Daniel Hunt on the right side, but I think they're going to switch things up.
Or bring back B-Rob.
You could potentially bring back B-Rob. With what money? That would be a good question.
Yeah.
Even though we're really restructuring.
Even though the cap isn't real.
It's a myth.
No, just cut Tom Johnson again.
He's
Get that
actually
number,
per
snatch
hour.
that number back.
It's like, I don't like these rotations.
The Rams put the cap myth to bed. There's no cap space.
Well, so did the Vikings. But
right, yeah.
Wyatt, appreciate you calling in, man. Always love your
All
thoughts.
right, man. I'll let you next week.
Yep. I'll also have some thoughts on the great, wonderful people over at MyBookie, unlike the producer. Yeah. So MyBookie.ag, place to go. If you're going to lay a couple shekels down on the game and then maybe just chase your losses after Thursday on Sunday, do it up. But hey, if you do end up winning, MyBookie is one of the best in the business. Reputation rock solid, plus 2 business day payouts, and they're just so glorious. Because that's the whole thing. Like, betting with online sports books can be a little dicey. Definitely not with MyBookie.ag. Been around for years, and also check out my in-game live betting as well. I know that Luke is really big on that. It's like, first down, crap. Is this gonna be first down? Crap. Heads. Damn. Damn. You're already chasing it after the coin toss. So join now. MyBookie will also match your deposit up to 100%. 100% up to $1,000. Use promo code ZONE, ZONE100, Zone 100. That is the promo code. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play it, you win, you get paid. All right. We got another call?
Not yet.
Oh, there you go. Twitter question from Trevor Moore. Who plays left tackle if Reef and Hill are both out? Brian O'Neill season.
O'Neill?
I wouldn't be
Compton?
I wouldn't be probably not Compton, although he has tackle experience.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Hill at left tackle and then O'Neill at right tackle.
If Hill is out.
Oh, if Hill is Jesus. Just cancel the game.
Yep. Don't cancel this call. Caller, who we got?
Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tosin.
Tosin. What's up, man? Long time.
Hey, man, it has been so hard to get into you guys today. Like, I feel like a teenager.
At least buy us a drink first. Yep.
Huh?
I don't know. What's on your mind, Tosin?
Hey, random question. So the Evans, I can't talk right now. His situation, do you think it's similar to like Caleb Jones' brother's situation from earlier this year? Or just like a one-off thing?
I mean, there's just so much unknown now, and a little unfair to compare the situation since it is so wide-ranging when it comes to mental health. But it's just it is what it is.
In terms of like using the Caleb Jones situation is kind of like a guide for what might happen or what may not happen. I think Andy's correct that it's just difficult to kind of, especially given kind of the lack of information we have, it's kind of difficult to kind of use one situation that involves mental health to kind of get a time frame or an understanding of another situation that involves mental health, because it's just as wide a range of problems as physical health concerns. So it might be similar. And Zay Jones playing this year seems to be doing, I'm not going to say great, but seems to be doing all right. Or it could be something that will take kind of a long time to resolve, and maybe when it gets resolved, you could end up having sort of, a great sort of second half of his career or something like that. I have no idea. But it may not be analogous at all, just because there's so many variables when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, not to make light of the situation, but from the rumors I heard, like him going to Trey Waynes' house, like, why Trey Waynes of all people?
They're apparently
safe, nice and quiet.
They're apparently really good friends. The families are really good friends, but also they live close to each other. So that's another reason.
And we would think relatively far away, right? Minnetrista would be. I don't know where the players live, but.
Well, I mean, both Trey Waynes and Everson live in Minnetrista.
Yeah. I'm saying they may be far away from other people.
Yeah. A ton of players live in Eden Prairie and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Hey, Tosin, appreciate you calling in, man.
No worries, man. And thanks for the text messages.
Yep. See you, bro.
The text messages?
I was texting.
Oh. Hey.
That's a great producer right there.
Yeah, that's good. Oh,
yeah, the other guy sucked.
Yeah, sure. Near Mound. Yeah. Hey, caller, who we got?
Hey, it's Alex in Kenosha.
Alex, Kenosha Kickers. Ah, damn it. Hey,
every time.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing. Nothing going on this week. Just wanted to see how bad Tom's Oktoberfest plate is in the draft. No football, right?
That'd be a weird holiday to do for a draft because, all right, I got brats. Well, crap.
I got beer.
Yep.
I got sauerkraut.
Got Tide Pods.
Yep.
No, but seriously, I don't know. Just want to vent a little bit.
Go.
I don't know what's going on, but it feels like, and I mentioned this after the first game, but it feels like the defense is good in all of its individual parts. We have good cornerbacks, we have good safeties, we have good linebackers, defensive tackles, defensive ends, but for whatever reason, it just feels like teams are so able to trick us and get us out of position on these. I don't know if it's one guy coming across the field while everything else is moving the other way, and screen passes and late motion from tight ends and things like that. I don't know if that's just my uneducated watching on Sundays, or if that's an actual problem that Zimmer needs to figure out.
Well, like you said, there is talent there, and they do have a track record of getting together, being one of the best defenses in the NFL. Also, I mean, early on in the season, you're going to have coaches that have had all off season to get ready for the Vikings, and hashtag study that film and whatnot. And I'm sure they found some cracks in the Vikings defense, and perhaps the Vikings defense isn't gelling quite like they did last year yet. But good coaching staff, good players, they'll be fine.
Well, it seems like sort of the biggest plays that the Vikings have given up. So, the Jason Kroom touchdown, the Chris Ivory 55-yard gain, the George Kittle near deep pass touchdown. A lot of those have occurred because of misalignment or miscommunication, and those are things that the Vikings defense is generally sort of not subject to, right? Because they've had a bunch of players, work together on that defense for a long time. But if you take a look at the miscommunication, it was between Mackenzie Alexander and Eric Kendricks, and between Mike Hughes and Eric Kendricks. The common thread besides Eric Kendricks is that you've got players that are relatively new to starting with that group. So I think over time, those issues can get resolved. The fundamentals of the defense are generally pretty sound. So even I think schematically, I don't think Zimmer's defense has been kind of found out. I think a lot of times the mistakes that we've seen are communication related, and those can be kind of hammered out and corrected as the season kind of progresses.
Okay, cool, fair enough. The other thing I was going to mention is I know a lot of people before the season, they were talking about how, the Vikings have strengths pretty much everywhere except the offensive line. And something that I heard a lot was, well, the thing is that if you look at everybody else's team, they have issues that are way worse overall than just one position like the Vikings, where just the offensive line will be fine because of the whole of the team is better. But I don't know if it's just me, but I feels like that position is so crucial to everything else the team does that having a weakness there is, it's like the one part, if you have bad defensive ends, you can make up with it by getting coverage sacks with good safeties and good cornerbacks. Or, if you have weaker wide receivers, you can make up for it with a franchise quarterback. But I feel like that offensive line if it's poor, it's just going to affect the entire team.
Well, as far as offensive line goes, I mean, there's enough research to show that, I mean, obviously once you kind of get to the middle of the pack, just having an average offensive line, it really doesn't affect your offense in multiple phases of the game. The issue comes when you're kind of in that bottom third as far as offensive line. That's when really you start to see that regression as far as the offense. And obviously, as you can know with the Vikings right now, they are probably in that bottom third, in some statistical categories, which is why you're seeing it affect their offense a little bit more. Kirk Cousins holding on to the ball a little bit longer. He's probably taking the, his first read instead of kind of letting plays develop a little bit more. So the issue is, when you hear a lot of Vikings fans say, we just wish we were average. I mean, that's probably a pretty accurate statement because, it does allow you to do probably what you want to more so and not have that be such a negative effect on your offense. I think it's still a thing that is probably going to continue to be a work in progress. I don't know if it's going to be corrected by the end of this season, but that's just, we knew that this offensive line was still going to be a work in progress, and the fact that you've had you brought in a right tackle that maybe you didn't want, maybe you knew was going to be a project going in, and he's been put into relief duty a few times. You still having your right tackle from last season. Now he's moving to right guard. You haven't had your center for all of off season. You just traded for a new center who's still learning the playbook. Left guard continues to be an issue. Riley Reef clearly is not healthy. I think there's enough issues there where, things aren't going to click right now, but they might click later down the road. And even if they don't, that's something that you can continue to address in the offseason. So I understand your concern, and it's something that we hope the Vikings can get fixed sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate you calling in tonight, Alex.
Yep. Thanks, man.
There, bro. All right. It's almost chicken o'clock, so Eric, kindly shut down the phone lines. Actually, text everyone the middle finger emoji. Just be like, deuces. We'll see you next week. Hate you, but I love you. All right, so hammer through these Twitter questions, then we'll get on here at Kyle Wilkin TDB. Which is the higher number, the amount of points the Rams score on Thursday, or the pressures their defense will get?
Pressures their defense will get.
For Keith's sake,
it's gonna be a lot.
That's actually an interesting question because I don't think they'll score. I don't think they'll get as much pressure just because they don't have that many edge defenders.
Yeah,
yeah, that's tough.
0 is equal to 0, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go with pressures, but I think that's a good sign because I think it means that they won't score that many points.
Although, man, what if this just turns into like last year's Rams-Niners game, where it was like 41-39, just one of the most entertaining games of the year?
That was fun.
Just Kirky in the shootout.
What if it turns into the Vikings-Ravens game in the snow? That was one of the best games ever.
Where the game sucked through 3 quarters and they scored like 40 points combined in the fourth.
Yeah, one of the best games ever.
Yeah. Toby Johnson, 60 yards on the draw play. That's the only way that he can match speed with the Baltimore defense is that if it's in a half a foot of snow. Makes sense. At The Bird Abides, last week you were asked which TV show best describes the 2017 season. Does the Bills game count as a TV show? That was what was a TV show that had a lot of hype coming in and was just a flop?
Most of them?
All of them.
Yeah. No, not most of them. There were some shows.
Hawaii Five-0. The remake.
That had hype? No. Season 2 of almost anything?
Oh no. True Detective Season 2.
Oh, there you go. Boom.
That was it.
Yep.
Vince Vaughn as a bad guy. Come on. At Diabetic, though. Oh, he's back. Does it sound like the Vikes are handling Griff responsibly? And is there a chance the league hands out a punishment for questionable reporting on Everson's status? Also, where's scrub mode?
Well, the Vikings wouldn't get penalized for that. I mean, it's a lot of people who are going through, like we said before, 7th and 8th sources. That's not the Vikings' fault. I mean, they tried their best to handle it internally. But
do you think Fox 9 could have, obviously they're not going to lose the Vikings, TV rights, but I mean, some of that early reporting that they had to retract, that wasn't buttoned up, not a great look.
Yeah, I think, and Dougie was not really that happy. I think he was trying to keep things under wraps because he probably had heard a few things from a few sources and whatnot, and he didn't really want it to go. And then, someone there was just like, hey, you know what? Let's just run the story. Let's just go, guys. And It's just a lesson of you don't need to be first. You just need to be right.
Yeah. And then I do think the Vikings are handling the Griffin situation responsibly with empathy, and it's just.
I was going to say the best thing to come out of it would be you actually have coaches as part of the staff as standard.
No, it's
for that
standard, first-rate organization that's taking care of their own. At Bo 92 is a short week an advantage for the Vikings' current situation. I think given the Bills game and the Everson situation, it's actually really good that they're getting back on the field ASAP.
I could see some advantages to that for sure, trying to get rid of this sour, bad taste in their mouth as soon as possible instead of dwelling on it for so long. It's sometimes why you see teams that get crushed on Thursday night really struggle because they got 10 days to sit there and dwell on something like that. And most of these guys, most of these teams, most of these coaches want to get out there right away and shake something like that off. So there could be some advantages to this, yeah.
Everyone else agrees. At Eric Yay is a soft J _ Thompson. Assume everyone on the 53 roster is available and healthy from left to right. Who you got as your starting 5 at offensive line?
Boy, it's a little tougher than.
So the ones that are easy to me are Reef and offline.
Yep.
After that.
It's like, do you want Compton in this high PFF grade, or do you want maybe do you want to slide like a Brett Jones over? You know what I mean?
Brett Jones has struggled so much at center.
Yeah.
It is kind of difficult to say he should play guard, but at the same time, a lot of the roots of his struggles have been him getting set after he snaps the ball, something he doesn't have to worry about if he plays guard. So even though he's played center all his life, he might actually be a better natural guard because of how difficult it is to kind of flare that elbow in after the snap. Right. So that's something to consider. But I think for now, given his performances, you probably put Tom Compton there.
You roll with the hot hand right now.
Yeah. And Compton hasn't been playing as poorly as he did in the preseason.
Yeah.
He certainly wasn't the problem in the Bills game. He was a problem, but I mean, I think if you ranked the 5 offensive lineman positions, and then you rank the 5 positions, he's probably 5th in terms of problems.
And then you go Remmers Hill. I want the good version of Hill, though, right? You know what I mean? Like,
so they're all healthy, right? So you don't have to worry about that. O'Neal has some. We saw some videos that veteran scout tweeted out.
Right,
about,
good stuff.
Yeah, about O'Neal's issues anchoring against power moves against people who don't have power moves.
Fairness, legendary power move guy, bull rusher Jerry Hughes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something to be concerned about. Not that Hill is great against power. I mean, they both kind of have that weakness. I still think I want O'Neal there despite that problem, but I could be very easily convinced, and I wouldn't be disappointed in a world where they're all healthy where Hill starts instead.
I just heard Danny Isadora. That's all.
I forgot about Danny.
Yeah, he's got center experience now. Duh. Master.
They brought in Brett Jones. All of a sudden, things got a little.
I just bumped Cornelius Edison up. Whatever. Master C. Do you think Barr could see more reps at the end with the Everson situation? God bless him, and possibly plug in Eric Wilson at linebacker next to Kendricks.
I think it comes down to this. I mean, yeah, he could, and he probably should.
Like that 3rd and 4 sack that was negated by Lindval's late hit.
Correct. I think it comes down to this. Who do you want on the field? Do you want Eric Wilson on the field, or you want Stephen Weatherly?
Yeah.
I mean, you put Barr in, obviously, opposite of Hunter. Hunter's going to be the guy opposite there. And then you got Wilson and Kendricks in your nickel.
Why not both? At John Fahey the third.
L whatever theme song?
Yeah.
All right.
At John Fahey the third, I have an end zone ticket to the game tomorrow night. Do you think enough Rams fans will leave when they're up 35-17? How are we going to get 17? That I can get the football from the garbage time touchdown Diggs scores at the end of the game.
Yeah, but it's going to be a Rudy garbage, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got a good chance of getting that football.
Nah, I feel like it's going to be another Treadwell garbage time touchdown.
Was Treadwell's first touchdown garbage time?
No, that was early. But
it was early.
Yeah, it was like first quarter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It
was the first quarter.
Which, I mean, might still be.
Lastly, the real Gabby, at what point do we become a little concerned that the Z has been pretty poop-like since the second half of the New Orleans game? That's fair. It's just odd that after 4 years in the system, guys all of a sudden missing assignments.
I mean, like,
it's kind of fair.
But it's like new guys missing assignments.
Yeah, we have new guys missing assignments, but at the same time, it's like...
Unless it really is all Kendricks' fault.
It might be. But at the same time, it's like we have I mean, we've kind of had some of the same consistent problems when we face teams, right? We can't deal with athletic tight ends or whatnot. Scheming into
that's why we've been searching for one,
right? Exactly. Scheming into
this is a great opportunity, by the way, for tight ends for Kyle Rudolph to have a big game because of how those linebackers look.
I mean, scheming into space has sometimes been an issue with some of the shiftier guys. I mean, like Theo Riddick has been. Anthony Barr has admitted that Theo Riddick is like one of the hardest guys for him to have to cover or just deal with. I mean, those kinds of guys have consistently been an issue. But then at the same time, we just struggle with dealing with offensive coordinators who are smarter than Zimmer, who are just like better at scheming offenses than Zimmer is at scheming defenses. So, I mean, with those things, I mean, I think we're still one of like the top defenses in the league, but it's really hard to overcome some of these issues.
Ooh, baby. All right. Our final score predictions are up on the YouTube channel on a Thursday morning, so check that out. Subscribe over at Zone Coverage's YouTube channel. Gentlemen, what's besides the game, what you got going on this week? What you hammering on?
I was going to do a preview, but then it's like games
Stuff
tomorrow.
on Thursday, yeah.
Games tomorrow.
It gives you a couple, maybe a little bit more cushion, though, to do the film review afterwards, which is nice.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out Zone Coverage for that. And come on down to the Burnsville Luckies.
Yeah,
if you got
Burnsville
nothing going on.
Luckies. And then if you're interested in the Wolves, we are tracking Jimmy Butler in that whole situation.
Yeah. Reef, what's going on at the Athletic?
So I do have a game preview up, unlike Yinka. You can find that at theathletic.com.
Wow.
He is always throwing shade at me. So it's true brotherhood. That's how I take it as. So
I tried, but it's hard.
But so you can find that. I'll do. I've got film reviews coming up after the game, of course, to talk about that. And I've been doing a lot of like game by game stuff. Hey, here's what went wrong. Here's what went right. Here's what could go wrong. Here's what could go right. I want to focus on a player, and I think the additional time between this game and the next game will allow me to focus on a player. Maybe it's Anthony Barr. Maybe it's Danielle Hunter. Who knows? Break down a player.
Yeah, break it down. Tom, what's breaking down at zonecoverage.com?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
Bad adjective, sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. Jimmy Butler, we'll keep you posted on that. Sam, obviously, check out his stuff once. He has daily Vikings content, as well as we're still covering the Twins if you want to know who to watch next year. Obviously, this is lost season, but prospect stuff.
# lost season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, I'm going to say I enjoyed you. You were good. Yeah.
Yeah, new guy. We like him.
Give the people a wink. There. Oh,
wow. Oh, yeah.
That was blue steel. Worthy level. I love it. Listen to Hour 1 and go Vikings Thursday, tomorrow night, whatever. Yeah. Shows available on 19 Stitcher, iRadio, Spotify, Google Play, every place to get your podcasts, as well as zonecoverage.com/machine. But for Luke and Arif and Yinka and Tom and Eric, the new guy, I'm Andy saying next time.